ICP has jumped over 42% since the 5th of August. However, in the last 2 days, we've seen the price action drop by over 6%. Guys, is this move to the upside now over, or should we be expecting another leg upwards? In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the ICP technical analysis, sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think the price action is heading. As I get into today's video, do go ahead and smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell and select all the notifications so you do not miss another update. Guys, let's jump right down into the charts and take a look at what's going on with ICP. So here we have ICP paired up with USDT, and we're on the 1-day Binance chart. Now, we were looking at this particular range between $8.53.7 and $9.01. This particular area was a 1-to-1 ratio. This is where we don't want to see the price action reject. This is where we want to see a continuation to the upside. However, since we came into this range and topped out on the 24th of August at a high of $8.95.4, we've actually seen some negative price action. So the question is, are we going to continue this run to the upside, or is it now time to start thinking about shorting the market? Well, I don't think we're done just yet. Let me explain why I think that. Here we have a very impulsive move to the upside. Okay, this clearly goes past 1.618. In fact, it even goes past 2.618. So it's a very big move to the upside. We then have this little bit of a cooling off period before we potentially go into the next run to the upside. Now, we know that our 1.618 wave 3 has to come in at $9.83. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for, $9.83.6 to be specific. Okay, so what we're tracking at the moment is this wave 3 being a 5-wave move. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and we have to have that final 5th wave move to the upside. The problem that we have with this is the wave 4 depth at the moment, finding support on the 50 EMA and 50 SMA, do not constitute a 5th wave movement touching on that 1.618. Now, there are ways and methods in which this may, go ahead and still smash into that $9.83.6, but for the most part, typically this would finish at $9.12 to $9.41, falling short of our impulsive target. So what do we need to see? Well, in order for us to kind of push up into those slightly higher ranges, we have to see a wave 4 retrace down slightly deeper, okay? But of course, we can't come down deeper than our wave 1. Okay, so we know we can't drop down lower than 744, and we'd have to actually see 769. The question is that actually realistic? So what we want to do is we want to see whether or not our retracement is going to be in line with that kind of ideal. So if we go ahead and do our due diligence here and check that, we can actually see, I need to take that from the wave 3 low, which is that one there. There we go. Okay, this one would actually give us a $8.75. Okay, so it doesn't really show us that ideal depth coming in. So for me, I think the only real option if we are to hit that 1.618 here is to see an overextended wave 5, or potentially an expanding diagonal within this end parameter. So we'd either look for a bigger, explosive kind of 5-wave movement to finish off that 5th wave move, which would call it an overextension within that parameter, or we look for a expanding diagonal, which would basically be, well, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it basically expands out over time, indicating that you have a 5-wave move with a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3, a wave 4, and then finally a wave 5. That way you also hit that 1.618 target range. Okay, so it's all to kind of play for ICP right now, because this is a bit of a danger zone, right? If we get rejected here, then we can put to bed the idea that we're in this kind of bigger explosive move to the upside on our daily time frame, because we are targeting out, $10 plus in order to kind of finish off that final 5th wave movement. So we need to hit, $9.83.6 to make that come to fruition. Failure to do so will essentially just mean that we have a 5-wave move here, and that isn't a bad thing. It just means that we're going to be dropping back down into this range between $6.26 and $8 again for great accumulation, because what it would mean is that we are not in the final or 5-wave move like this necessarily, but we're in a much bigger kind of play that's going to take significantly longer to play out. Okay, so we want to keep a close eye on it all. Obviously, that's what part of these videos. I do them every kind of 3 days or so. So we can see how it's all kind of playing out. ICP's done a pretty decent job so far, but I'm still looking for more volatility here. Unfortunately, I am still thinking that if we can't go up into that 1.618, $9.83.6, then we are going to have to see a retracement, a bit of a reset, and then another attempt at it. From our volume profiles, you can see here that volumes were actually slightly increasing as we were pushing up, and volumes are dropping down as we look to finish this off. That's a positive sign to show that there isn't a huge appetite for selling. So maybe we'll start seeing that next surge to the upside and hit that targeted range. Turn the volumes off and bring the stochastics into play. You can see that we're oversold on the 4 and 1 hours. So again, we could see some small short-term volatility that does push us into our targets. But on the larger time frames, we are looking for a correction. So once we hit these areas, we are going to be looking for a correction. And at some point, in my opinion, we will be looking to come back down into this accumulation range. Okay, so it's not necessarily over with just yet. Turn the stochastics off and bring on the relative strength index. We've got bullish momentum. We're not too concerned about that. We can see there was bullish divergence on the 5th of August. That's looking good. It's played out quite beautifully so far. No divergence is being noted at this point in time, but we will still be looking to bring this RSI up into the overbought range. So for the daily time frame, there's a lot to kind of look forward to. How would I trade it? Well, right now, we've got a couple of options. Obviously, go short or go short, go short or go long, right? But we have these potential to kind of go long right here on our support of our 50 SMA on the daily time frame. Tight stop loss lower than the previous swing low, and we target out our kind of lower range here at the $9.12. That risk reward ratio is a 6.8 with a stop loss set at $8.21, entry at approximately that low point of $8.40. We might have to lift that up to current market value. So risk reward ratio is at 3.65, and take profit at $9.13.1. So again, great way to potentially trade it. Now, of course, if we break down and we close lower than that 50 EMA, then of course we can go short on the market. Coming in here, tight stop loss slightly higher than the 50 SMA, and we'll target down coming into the previous area of support, which would be around that $7.35.6. Risk reward ratio, again, very similar, 3.49. So again, you can trade in both directions depending on your appetite here as to where you think things are going. But my approach here would be more of a long than a short, but again, we'll have to see how the next couple of candles on the smaller time frames kind of go before we kind of get into that level. Okay, so for ICP, yeah, it's looking pretty interesting, right? Lots of positives to be seen here, with only really a handful of negatives. About the larger time frame, on the weekly time frame, we are, of course, still looking to complete this structure and then still come down deeper on our weekly time frame. Our weekly time frame is looking for value on ICP to come down deeper than we've already seen in July of 2024, right? And deeper than what we saw back in August, right? We are looking for this correction to finish with a big 3-wave move. So we are looking to kind of come down to that kind of $5 to $4 range at some point, in my opinion, on ICP, but not before we've moved up above $10. It might seem crazy, might seem really unusual or irregular, but I do want to stress that from March down to July, we did drop 72.31%. And all we're doing right now is kind of resetting that bearish movement. So as we kind of tap into $10, we can see another big move. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see, 70 or 60% to the downside. That's going to be a hell of a short opportunity, but also a great opportunity for dollar cost averaging. And as long as we stay above 287, we are in for some really good runs on ICP in the bigger macro. Because if I zoom out of this, we'll look for a minimum zigzag pattern, which is a 535. Here it will be our kind of expectations of moving up, at least kind of in my opinion, to this pocket between $42 to $67, but potentially even breaking higher, where we could still see that idea of moving out towards $144. But I think actually if I were to adjust this ever so slightly and bring this in line, you can start to see that these are going to be some really interesting target ranges, with that 1.618 dropping from $144 to $90. $96. So there's some pretty good potential for ICP to do some pretty phenomenal things. All we have to do is basically make sure that we dollar cost average and build out those positions and have patience for the market. But of course, guys, it's important to remember that I am no financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice. All I can do is share my thoughts and opinions of the data in the charts as I personally see it. You can let me know what your thoughts are on all of this in the comments down below, or join us in our free Discord server linked in the description. And if you haven't done so yet, guys, check out my second channel where I cover the Cardano technical analysis every single day.